Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to have a little look at Thundricks Profiteers, how I've got on with them, things that I do like and things that I don't like. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please hit the subscribe button and destroy the bell button so that you never miss an upload, and let's carry on. So here we have Thundricks Profiteers, as it says there, Night Vault, but it is basically Beastgrave, Shadespire and any of the above, but the general term I believe is Underworlds, which is usually what we call it. But anyway, here, so this is Thundricks Profiteers. It is a 5-man warband, so not the most numerous of warbands, not the biggest, pun intended, but not the smallest either. So 5 models. So let me just have a little look. So what am I going to do? I'll probably read you the fluff. It's the fluff card that you get, which is this one, which is quite a pretty card. There we go, zoomed in as well. And this is the fluff. What you could do is fast forward it possibly. Well, you can screenshot it, do what you want, and then I'll just read it to you now anyway, once we focus on the models. It says, Thundricks Profiteers. Bjorgen Thundrick and his crew of sky farers were not the first amongst the Caradron overlords to search for Shadespire. The whispered rumours of the Cat of Friends' treasures had reached many skypaws, but those expeditions that were sent either returned empty-handed or did not return at all. With a hardy crew and a magnificent sky vessel at his command, Thundrick set out to achieve what all others had failed to do. By following the faint scent of aether gold that wafted across the desert of bones, he eventually found the dead city. But his expedition, too, was ultimately doomed. He, along with his crew and even his ship, were drawn by the deathly magic of the accursed place, and found themselves trapped in the mirrored city. Thundrick now leads his bold crew of profiteers in search of their lost sky vessel, for without its capacious hold, they have no way of escaping with all the treasures that they have acquired. So, basically, they are Caradron Overlords, which is basically dwarves not in space, in the sky dwarves. Basically very piratey themed, with also a lot of steampunk kind of esque, influence. So what I've done with almost every single warband, I think if not every single warband, is I did a super lazy dry brush of grey, black, dry brush, dark grey, then light grey, then white over the bases, so it's really lazily done. I went for a silver scheme. I think I was inspired possibly by the box. Is that right? They've got more of a brass thingy, but I went with more silvery. It's not far off, to be fair. I just did mine a bit different. I like to do a bit of freestyling. Not quite freestyling, technically. And I believe that in-game, in the normal Age Sigmar, this guy is a hero, and I think he's an aether chemist. So Bjorgen Thundrick is an aether chemist. So this is the guy. This is your leader. All these guys have a ranged 3 attack, which is handy. And then we've got, I think it's Allenson. I refer to this guy as the pleb, but every single one of them can be upgraded to basically be very proficient, to be solid fighters. You shouldn't have to rely on things being upgraded though, I think. But for what you're getting from, you get a 5-man model team, you can shoot 3, and you can do some damage up close and personal. What's that we've got on there? Just one sec, I'm going to have a little inspection of that. I think I got some blue tack on him from doing something with it. I thought there was something wrong with the paint. So not an overly amazing paint job, that's not my style. My style is get it done quick. But it looks alright, to be honest. I'm not thinking myself, it looks decent-ish. And obviously went for the green Necron-y kind of blocks there. So it's like in a cave, so we've had a look at Allenson. We've had a look at that one. We've got Draxcure. Draxcure, quite an interesting model. So I'm not a fan of very wobbly and jittery models, so I even don't like this right now, because I feel like it's going to break real easy. So the reason I stopped playing Necrons was because they are very spindly and easily breakable. I feel like this one is going to die soon, so I might just have to just plop him on the base. It's a bit wobbly, I'm not keen on it. So, but anyway, interesting looking model, pretty cool. He's probably your biggest close-up hitter, if anything, out of you guys, so you probably, yeah, he's pretty decent, to be honest. We'll have a look at the cards in a sec, but he's the fastest one, of course, because everyone else moves 2, and he can move 3 or 4, so basically like nearly a normal person. I can't remember, but we'll check. And then we'll go for Lund. Good old Lundy Poos. I did him gold because he seems like a bit of a veteran. Goldy colour, bronzy gold. And again, blue. Really basic base. Didn't do anything special with it. I think the colours on these stand out relatively drastically from the thingy. So that is Lund, Deadeye Lund. And it always makes me think of someone I used to know called Matthew Lund, or Matt Lund. So every time I see him, I always think it's basically that guy. I'm just going to have to actually have a look at the other guy's card because I can't remember his name. It is the last one, of course. It's Enric Ironhail. So this guy is a guy who shoots like machine gun, basically. That's effectively what it's got. Obviously, everyone's range 3, but cool looking model again. So it looks a lot like one of these. So I'm presuming they are from the same unit. I think I could be correct in saying that. These guys are battle line, possibly, and this guy's going to be more like your elite type of models. So put them guys back in the background, shift focus a little bit. Very professionally done, and we'll have a little look at the cards, shall we? I think we'd be best served looking at the big daddy himself, Bjorgen Thundrick. So let's see if we can see this, focus on the stats and everything. Yeah, there we go, that's pretty good. So it says Bjorgen Thundrick. He has a range 3, everyone does. He swings 2 hammers and it does 1 damage, so not overly powerful, but it's quite reliable relatively speaking, and a range 3. Up close and personal, he only does 1 damage as well, so you're not going to be outright killing anyone straight away. He has 1 shield, movement of 2, epically not good. What he does have is the promotion. It says, each time you score an objective, if this fighter is on the battlefield, you can choose a friendly fighter. That fighter becomes inspired. So what you have is, depending on how you're doing, you have a relatively easy/hard way to inspire all your dudes. Not everyone's going to inspire at the same time, but it's not an impossible way to do it. And surprisingly, you do pretty well, or I have done most of the time, is focusing on your objectives, which is your main game anyway, and then you make your guys better. Now, Bjorgen is pretty much a good candidate for being inspired first, if I'm brutally honest. He also has a reaction. Use this reaction after a fighter's activation. In the next activation, enemy fighters treat hexes adjacent to this fighter, other than blocked hexes, as lethal hexes. Meaning, if they come and charge him, they're going to get hurt. In the next activation, at least. So, when inspired, he does 2 damage with his gun, and it's got cleave, so anyone with an armor shield is not going to do very well. And by that I mean defense characteristic. This time he does get 2 shields and +1 wound, and he moves 3, so like a standard Stormcast or somewhere else like that. Promotion and reaction is exactly the same, but he's a pretty solid fighter, to be fair. He can have some really nice upgrades, and 2 damage at 3 range is pretty good, to be brutally honest. There's nothing bad about this fighter. He's not epically great, but he's got pretty tanky when he's inspired, definitely. 5 wounds and 2 thingies. Not many fighters have that many wounds comparatively with the amount of fighters that we've got. So we'll put Bjorgen over there. I think what we'll do is we'll have a little look at Draxcure, because that's the first one that caught my eye. So Draxcure, Kazgan Draxcure. Range 2. 2 hammers, 2 damage. 2/2/2. And that's his Sky Pike. His pistol swings 2 daggers and 1 damage to 3 range. So everyone's got a range 3 attack. So not very reliable, but about as reliable as 1 hammer, but you're more likely to get a crit with 2 daggers, I suppose. Moves 4, so fast little dwarf, relatively speaking. 1 shield and 3 wounds. Again, you inspire him with Bjorgen Thundrickson. When inspired, he moves no extra, if I remember. Yeah, that's right. Still 1 shield, and he's still got he's got +1 wound, which is handy, and he does 3 damage instead of 2, and that's pretty much it. And he, oh, by the way, he can move over occupied and blocked hexes, and does not count lethal hexes. Treats lethal hexes, normal hexes can move through, blah 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 blah. Yeah, basically he can fly, and he doesn't get hurt by thingies. So again, he's one of your biggest hitters, so you don't want him to go down first, but you can play psychological effects against your opponent to make them think that he is your biggest hitter, if they don't know any better. Why don't we have a look at Plebby McPlebson, as I like to call him. Garrod Allenson. Garrod Allenson has a Arcanaut Cutter. So 2 daggers, 2 hammers, does 1 damage. So this guy literally is the plebeiest guy you've got. He's a range, so his range 3 attack is the same as Kazrak Draxcure, as you can see there. But he has 1 dodge characteristic, so very unlikely. Moves 2 and has 2 wounds. When inspired, however, he gains +1 wound, gets a shield characteristic, immediately becomes slightly more tankier. Up close, he does 2 damage, so he becomes a proficient fighter off the bat, than as he should off the bat. And in this time, he swings 3 daggers to do, so he becomes a lot more precise with his gun. Still doing 1 damage, but not insignificant. So a good little one to keep about. When inspired, I suppose. But if you're scoring loads of objectives, you have no problem. You just go, yeah, I'd probably save him last, unless you've got him to do a specific job, because he does have set employees that make +1 damage to 1 or 2 range, so it would make him do 3 damage, a surprise little attack against a pleb. So we'll have a look at Dead Eye Lund, one of my favourites. 3 range, 2 hammers, 1 damage, so not epically dangerous. But he does have cleave to start off with, so if you're going against Stormcast and those types, with the shield characteristic, you're going to cut through them without any upgrades from the bat. Pretty good. 1 shield, 3 wounds, so standard dwarf fighter. But then, it only really goes 2 damage, doesn't it? So he gets +1 wound, and it does 2 damage instead. So 2 shots from this will kill most fighters, if not more. And if you can shoot them back into lethal hexes, you can do 3 damage. So nothing to be sniffed at. Again, not your best fighter. I think Bjorgen is pretty much winning on that one, but he's a decent fighter as well. And then we get Enric Einhael, one of my favourites, mainly because he does 3 daggers. So what you do get is there's an objective. It's Branching Fate, I think it's called. It's a universal upgrade objective, and you roll 3 different thing is either an attack or whatever, and you've got, obviously you can roll 3 dice with them, so if you fail, or you get 1 success and 2 fails that are different, or whatever, as long as it's 3 different symbols, you get an objective and you can inspire him. So he goes from having 2 wounds, which is very plebby actually, I forgot about that, to 3 wounds, and he goes from having a dodge characteristic to a shield characteristic. So I suppose this kind of goes along with the whole Arcanaut Company battle line theory of mine, that basically these guys are not too dissimilar from one another. Looking at their stats and what they inspire to be, so they basically are from these guys a battle line. So I think that's pretty much it. So what I like about them is even if you're doing really pants, right, as long as you score 1 objective, you can inspire your guy, as long as Bjorgen's on the bottom field, and he becomes a hell of a lot more resilient when he's got inspired. So he has 2 shields, which is very likely to succeed. If he's ever on guard, then he's going to gain basically the only fails he's going to have is either support characteristics, unless you are supported, of course. Then he is a very defensive and very offensive fighter as well. So again, pretty darn good. So I like the models. Really good warband, I think. So I've lost with them, obviously. I've lost with most of my warbands, I think. But these guys don't have, in my opinion, a very high lose-win or low win-lose ratio. They do pretty well, to be honest. And they're pretty cool, to be honest. Range 3 on every single fighter is very defensive. The only problem is they're quite slow, so you're probably not going to be running across the board and doing many objectives. So I wouldn't theme them around getting loads of objective-based glory, if I'm brutally honest. I think I'm going to end the video there. They're a solid warband. I like what I did with them. I think they look quite impressive, and I like the fact that it's kind of got like a Spider-Man theme going on. Red and blue, and then gold, just for funsies. Excuse me, how very rude. Tell me what you think in a video in the comments down below, and yeah, pretty much it. I might do another one soon. Thank you.